Testing 1, 2, 3. Are we live? Testing. Hello. Are we there? Are we live? Jeez. Broadcasting. Hello. Anybody hear me? I can't hear myself. What's it doing? Yeah, I can't hear myself though. Why can't I hear myself? It looks like a sound's coming through. Sound. Let me look at something else. I can't see myself or hear myself. Well, there we go. I reloaded the screen there, and why can't I still can't hear myself? But you guys can hear me okay? Because okay, everyone, welcome to my first live stream. This is Mike Barbarossa. Just thought I'd try this venue out a little bit, and it's kind of awkward for me live streaming. I'm not a painfully shy guy, but for some reason it's just kind of weird doing the live stream. But anyway, today we're going to talk about Russian Deadpool and the whole chain of events and how it connects to me. So the way the whole thing started was back in August when the Skeptic feminist had their troubles, and just to make a long story short, they went through a whole thing where they were in a pinch and needed some money, and had to get out of this pinch, and so they did a GoFundMe and raised some money, and I was looking at the whole situation. They lost their apartment. They went into an RV. And the whole thing about it was like this guy, Russian Deadpool, he looks like he's articulate, looks healthy, claims to be a martial arts expert. What's he doing? How come they're broke and kicked out of their apartment and don't have any money? Why isn't this guy working? And, what is he doing fucking around? And it's a good economy. He's an able-bodied guy. He should be taking care of things. And kind of what I realized in his situation. Like if you ask a the average YouTube creator what would be your ideal situation, they'd tell you something like, well, I'd like a million subscribers and 10,000 a month in Patreon and maybe make a lot of money. And that's kind of what their ideal situation, their goal is in their mind. I think what Russian Deadpool's goal was he was going to be this guy who, like, he was going to be a figure in feminism and human rights and men's rights and all this stuff and whatever bullshit he was going after. And he was going to be big. This kind of like on the lines of, you know, someone like Christine Hoff Summers or someone who's high figure who charges $10,000 a lecture. He was kind of fancying himself to working up to that, and he was going to do that, and he was going to have a successful martial arts studio, and he was going to have a nice harem of ladies because he's polyamorous. And he was just trying to, but instead of doing the hard work that gets all those things done, he was going to, you know, instead of doing the hard work, he was just going to try to bullshit his way through it. And then that's just not the way it works. People who charge $10,000 a lecture, most of them have PhDs. People who have martial arts studios trained for 10 years before they do it. And he was trying this bullshit, and it was just, I mean, I've been around the block. I've seen guys like this. Everything out of their mouth is bullshit. So I put up my video basically telling him to get off his ass. What are you doing? You're bullshitting. Your little family is in a financial crisis. You're out of work. How come you're not working 2 jobs to bring security? And he ended up blocking me totally on Facebook with some, or not Facebook. He ended up totally blocking me on YouTube. Something I've never seen. The only way I know because I can see when someone responds to him on the comment section, but I can't see his comments. No one's ever blocked me like that. And so he just continued his downward spiral from there. And that was back in September 2nd, I did that first video. And in the meantime, and then he had that deal where he was screeching at Bering. And Bering did a response video, basically just saying, well, get a load of this guy, this nutcase. It's basically what his response video was. So at that time, I was the only one that had ever done a video critical of Russian Deadpool. I don't think anyone else even cared. The only other videos critical of Russian Deadpool you can find is that there's a guy named Tom Sequitur, and about a year ago he did a video, and he you got to go back and see it. It's only got like 300 views. It's brilliant. It's the way he takes him down. And he said the exact same thing. Tom Sequitur in that video against Russian Deadpool said the exact same thing that Atheism is Unstoppable said. And in both cases, Russian Deadpool is criticizing male machismo, you know, this big macho. And both Tom Sequitur and Atheism is Unstoppable in his video both said, this male machismo, that's you, buddy. You're the perfect example with your martial arts type of, you know, he's the wrong type of martial arts. He went on about, you see these guys and they got the stars and they got all the weapons, man, and they know all the violent moves. And that's, oh, hi, Friended. Hi, everyone. Hollow Tempest, Logos. Who else is on the chat? But anyway, he went out through the he did the whole martial arts things all wrong. Martial arts, you know, martial arts is like any other weapon. It's like a gun. You can use it to hunt or have fun target shooting, but it can also do horrible things. And martial arts skills are the same way. You start from the center. You don't get into all this violent weapons bullshit like he was doing. And he did have that failed martial arts studio, again, because he was absolutely not qualified in any way, shape, or form to own and operate and be a lead instructor at a martial arts studio. Where I live, I'm kind of out in the kind of ruralish suburban. I've got the studio I train at, it's about 3 miles away, and the head trainer there has got decades of experience, 5th Dan, Taekwondo, black belt. A mile away is another studio, a guy with a master. These guys, these masters like that have decades of experience and high black belts. I hate to say it, they're a dime a dozen. And for someone in his mid-20s to come along and claim that you've are expert on 3 different types of martial arts, and you're going to open up a studio, no way. The bullshit's going to get called. So anyway, at that point, yeah, it was Tom Sequiter's video and my video, Crucial of him for his bullshitting, and then Bering's video. It's the only people that have ever made any videos. And okay, we're going to fast forward to. Got to do a screen. Going to do a screen share now, so we're going to see some. Full screen. See how that looks. See if you guys see that. Trying to do a screen share. Bear with me, guys. For those of you who are watching this on recording, you're probably going to have to fast forward, but I was trying to. Come on, screen. Is it working? I know there's a delay. Screen share, screen share. Oh, here we go. Start screen share. Duh. Okay. Bear with me, guys. Yeah, you guys are seeing that. No, I can't because I'm on screen share, but I'm going to go for it. Okay, the conversation picks up on Twitter on April 4th. And Gemini, who's a YouTube creator, was on Twitter, and I follow him, and he follows me. So he said, does anybody know anything about Nightmare Fuel? And Nightmare Fuel had done a buddy video with Russian Deadpool sometime earlier, where he was saying how Russian Deadpool's such a great guy, and he agrees with all this stuff, and he's real smart and everything. And so I responded to, bear with me. That's it. I responded. I don't have that one right there. He said, nope. Basically said he loses some credibility. I'm going to do a video where I'm going to explain how you lose some credibility for giving Russian Deadpool this blowjob. And I said it right here. I said, just said you lose some credibility for blowing Deadpool. And he put out a video saying how Russian Deadpool is such a great guy. You lose your shit, and somehow I do an expose on you. And what, well, I kind of mixed it up there, but what it went was I told Gemini that he loses credibility, and I'm going to do a video on that. And he thought I was going to do a video on him, Nightmare Fuel. But what I was saying is I was going to do a video explaining how Russian Deadpool is a fraud. And so that makes you lose credibility. And he started calling me a bunch of names. And if any of you know Nightmare Fuel, he doesn't pull punches. And so he called me a nobody loser, and I said I was garbage. And so I memed him back. Where's the meme? Here's the meme I gave back to him and Russian Deadpool. That's Anna Kasparian saying, "You are garbage." And so we exchanged back and forth. I said, no, I don't know exactly what he said because I didn't get those tweets, but we were exchanging. I said, sure, but he's a virtue signaling fraud, which is Russian Deadpool. So when you shout him out like that, you lose credibility. And it looks like I triggered your candy ass. Fucking weak. You're really showing why it's not about you, loser. So we were back and forth, really trading it off. So it was me back and forth with Nightmare Fuel and Russian Deadpool together. You can see they joined in on the tweet. And everyone noticed this date, April 5th. Important date, because that's when Russian Deadpool stole valor. right here. And this is the very tweet that was honed in on to get when we did the expose his stolen valor type of expose. Here he's saying, I spent a year in Afghanistan, blah, 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 and I have to show the liberation of the women, which is bullshit on a lot of fronts. First of all, he lied about serving in Afghanistan. Second, since we've pulled out of Afghanistan, the Taliban is regaining ground day after day. Tragically, all that ground that the troops had gained is that's kind of a sad thing, but here he's trying to be a hero to women. And my tweet back to him on that day was here. Russian Deadpool, why are you such a coward that you totally block me on YouTube? Could it be you're a total fraud and I shed light on that? And that's the only one that was shouting down his throat when he was stealing valor. I was the only one calling him a fraud back then. And so we had that little spat there on Twitter. And I was all set to make a video on him exposing him as a fraud. And I was really going to tear into him. I really was going to. And I had to kind of back off just to be a little bit respectful for the tragedy that happened. But I was all ready to expose all of his fake police job. And I think he did that just for me, because I did a video telling him to get off his ass and get a job. Next thing you know, he's on YouTube in a police uniform. Oh, my job. And that's supposed to make me gulp, which it actually did a little bit till I looked at, kind of like said, no, wait a minute. This is probably some more bullshit. So then from there, it's like, I believe it was the 14th of May. That's when he killed Ivy. And so I put out my video, and all the videos that were before that, right after the murder, were PSTD, and Skeptic's video, which was garbage. And just a lot of videos speculating. And on the 16th, I put out my video outlining how he's a fraud. And if you go back and anybody who wants to go back and look at those videos, sure, I'm not sharing the screen right now, so I don't see who's all in the chat, but yeah, any of the videos after that were all about fraud. So I put out my video on the 16th, and then Ralph Retort puts out a video on the 18th. Now, this is when it all started, and Ralph Retort put out a video on the 18th saying how the PTSD is bullshit. And then in the description, he says something like, this PTSD thing is falling apart. It looks like bullshit. That was on May 18th that Ralph Retort put out that video. I don't, what did he find out that makes him think that was bullshit? It was like the tone was totally changing after my video. People were realizing that he was a fraud, looking into it. And what happened was some veterans saw Ralph Retort's video saying the PTSD is bullshit. They contacted him because they were in the military. They knew all the protocol to get someone's military record. Russian Deadpool left his social security number on his video, so they got it, and that's when they exposed him as just even less than what we were talking about on the comment section of my video. We were showing how he was minimal non-combat National Guard, and that was from his resume. But we found out that all he did was basic training. And so Ralph Retort, he stole my thunder. And everyone, this is, he got so much praise. And this was all dumped in his lap. Here's someone, I'll be damned, Ralph. Godlike work. And he admits, I can't take credit. They spoon-fed me all of this. So I've been a gumshoe this whole time on top of Russian Deadpool, showing how he's a fraud, telling how he's a great investigative journalism. Here's where Here's the comment section of my video, days before the Ralph retort, where we're kind of breaking down all of the active duty, and that's a misspell there. He did 3 years of minimal non-combat, mostly the National Guard, and this was off his resume, which turned out to be less than that. Gun jumped in, and he had dug up the same information that I had for weeks, which I just didn't go to on the video. We just went into it on the comment section, going over all this and how it's impossible for him to do the things that are in there. So it's all bullshit. The resume's bullshit. And Ralph retort gets a shout out from Bering. God damn you, Bering. Yeah, Bering gets a pass because he's done a lot to help me. He's a great guy, but I wanted a shout out on my video. And here's kind of reveals. Now this is Atheism is Unstoppable's Twitter account, and Skeptic Feminism, or Russian Deadpool. He had a big heart on for Devin Tracy, man. So he had it coming. I mean, he was constantly just barbing him and stuff, trolling him. So when Atheism is Unstoppable went after Russian Deadpool, that was fair game, because he was here's something I wanted to talk about. Kraut and T. I swear to God, folks, this right here is one of the most retarded things I've ever seen from the skeptic community. Let's read this. Jesus Christ, did you have to portray him as unhinged? Talking about Russian Deadpool about 2 days after the murder. I have watched his streams fairly often, and this is a guy very well capable of behaving well-mannered and rational. And here's the part, guys, that just blows me away. And most agree what he did in this feat of rage is due to PTSD. I mean, this is the biggest failure in skeptic I've ever seen. Most agree. Isn't that what we're getting away from? Isn't that what the whole atheism was? That most agree that Jesus is Lord. And he goes back to the exact same Kraut and T. I don't know. I thought he was a better, more intelligent guy. What he just did on top of this, on Skeptic Feminist channel, one of the last videos that they have is Ivy Update. It's called Ivy Update, and it's a channel with Ivy's. It's her last video, okay? And about 3 or 4 people put on some real assholey comments, inappropriate comments in the comment section of that video. About 3 or 4 people. You can go check it out for yourself. So Crowden T comes on the comment section with his famous opening line, Jesus Christ. He said, those of you who are making bad comments, you need to blah, 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 virtue signal, virtue signal. And you want to know what happened? He got 68 replies from that comment, a lot of them saying, fuck you, Kraut, you're a bitch, blah, blah, blah. So he ended up bringing this whole mess onto that video just so he could virtue signal about 3 people making off-color comments that weren't appropriate. Kraut and T, my God. Anyway, one more thing while I'm on here I wanted to talk about. This was May 15th, right the day, and after me and Nightmare Fuel and Russian Deadpool had our words, and I told him our argument was, I said, this guy that you're claiming to be a great guy, he's a piece of shit. And he was back to me, well, fuck off. And so I rubbed it in a little bit. This is on his video where he gives Russian Deadpool the big praise on his channel. I bet you really feel like a dumbass now. Martial arts instructor, fraud. Federal police officer, false fraud. Helps women, false fraud. Fucks as many as he can and kills them. Habitual fraud and a minus to society. But he agrees with you politically, so he's cool. So what he did, Nightmare Fuel, with his 3,000 Twitter followers, I hardly do anything on Twitter. I've got 20 followers. Screenshotted this and made me look like the villain out of context. And I actually apologized to Nightmare Fuel. I thought this went a little far, but there's still context that makes it not so bad. Anyway, this is the only shout out I got from anybody 5,000 subs or over through this whole mess. Was a hate shout out. Kind of wish I had some of what Ralph Retort got. Okay. Back over. How do we stop screen share? Anyway. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's got the delay in there. Okay, I'm back to looking at the chat here. And well, one thing I want to talk about was what kind of jail time he's looking at. What I was kind of saying is that if it's an open shut that it's him, if it was his gun, if only him and Ivy were in the apartment, it's pretty open shut that it's him. They're going to do a plea deal. There's going to be no trial. This is what happens most of the time. He's done some good. He's taught kids how to defend themselves and things like that, and that's going to go for him. If he doesn't have any criminal record, that's going to help him out. But the mushrooms are going to hurt him. If it comes out, and it seems like it's the case that he took mushrooms and freaked out, that's bad. Without the mushrooms, he could probably do as little as 10 years when these plea bargains. That's how these murders happen. If you got no priors and you plead out and you tell everyone that you're terribly sorry, and then you do good time, you could do as little as 10. But this is all just speculation. It depends on how it turns out. But if it was because he freaked out on mushrooms, he's looking at more time, because that's like getting in the car and drunk and then killing somebody that you're partying and being irresponsible. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. Just try not to live stream here. And Agent of Doubt's video, I don't know, that's one I haven't seen. I know that it's a lot of, on top of Kraut and T, like I say, Skeptor did a video and I've had run-ins with that guy before about Russian Deadpool. Not impressed with Skeptor. And then we had V, who was a complete idiot through this thing. And then Thunderfoot. It's just, geez, these guys that are supposed to be top tier in the skeptic community, they're really, I don't know. It's kind of like the way it is on the bottom, though, when you gumshoe, and some of you guys probably had a job before where you did something good, and the guy with seniority gets credit for it. That's what I kind of feel like. On the gun aspect, any kind of background, in most cases, a stricter background check probably would not have kept him from owning a gun. I don't think he had anything that would hold him from getting a gun. He was a weird dude and he had violent tendencies, but you got to be kind of diagnosed with some sort of something really disturbing before they would, if you had a stricter system, say, oh, things like this happen and we need to have this stricter, system before you can get a gun. You have to go through these more background checks, these mental checks to make sure you're not, suffering from some kind of mental disability that's going to make it dangerous for you to own a gun. Like most of these cases, they would have got a gun anyway. You don't see too many pre-disturbed guys doing this stuff. That's their action. That's showing it is the actual murders. So Yeah, that guy, he's got narcissistic personality disorder. He's a pathological liar. He tried to bullshit his way through. Like I say, he kind of had a plan in his head to where he was going to have these women work for him and then work his way up. And I'm sure he planned to eventually make his own money. I mean, but he was a failure because he tried to do it with bullshit and not hard work. I mean, these guys, when I was in like junior high and high school, we had this guy named Bird. You know, everyone's got Bird as their last name. You call him Bird. And boy, I mean, everything out of his mouth was just a lie. It was just, and when you got a guy in junior high and high school like that, you just kind of giggle at him. But, you know, when you're a grown ass man and you continue that stuff, it's pathetic. And, yeah, I tried to get to him because he actually has skills. He actually is able to, do things. If he put the hard work in, he could actually make something of himself. And that was the whole thing. If he would have got a job like he needed to do back when they had financial problems, it would have, his little dream goes away. He's too busy working a full-time job so he kept trying to stitch it together, taking advantage of Ivy working 2 jobs. Yeah. Agent of Doubts, blame the victim. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of yeah, blame the victim. I mean, you could argue a long time about, yeah, you should have, you know, I don't think that she gets much blame because it's hard to, women do, like, I mean, they do get trapped in situations like that. And there were signs the way when Harley left, he was screeching that Harley's family is terrible and that she needs to come back. That was kind of a sign of controlling, where, yeah, some guys and women do it too, over controlling and like to shut you away from their family. That's one of the key signs, is shutting you away from your family. And if you look at his videos, that's exactly what he was doing. But he was saying it was justified because he was saying that her family was horrible and abusive to her. And the way that the way that Harley responded to her, or the way that Harley responded to him, was kind of telling, because, you know, instead of saying, shut up, man, they're okay, she just kind of was very passive the whole time and wouldn't confront him on it and say, no, my family's not like that. I mean, they're not perfect, but I mean, you make them out to be horrible monsters. She totally avoids that, which is really weird, really weird. Yeah. Anyway, hello to everyone in the stream. Austin Allen, Hollow Tempest, 1488. And yeah, this is just a little, I just was wanting to try this stream cup concept and see if anyone listens, if anyone cared, or seeing if it's a good way to kind of, certain things come up. Making videos is a little bit different than this. So I just figured it out, thought I'd give it a try. And I may try it again sometime, but I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for now. Just wanted to give my thoughts. Thanks, everyone, for coming.